UBC TV. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra, an extension from, that is an extension of Good Morning Uganda. Now we begin our broadcast every morning live, that is from 6:30. So make it a date with us. 6:30 we are here to kickstart your day with a lot of some light moments here, but most importantly is it's all about current affairs, letting you know what is happening in Uganda and overseas. We look at what's happening on the international scene and the local scene. So make it a date with us. Every weekday, 6:30, we are here. And we go all the way to 10 with this extension of Good Morning Uganda. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyointono, in case you've just joined. And today I have something I'm going to be discussing that is very important. Not only interesting, but very important. Why am I saying so? Because as long as you're living, it will catch up with you. If God gives you opportunity to live longer, it will catch up with you. Now we are going to be discussing affairs of the elderly in this country. Remember, Uganda's lifespan keeps on increasing day by day. We are now in about 63. Yes, a Ugandan can live up to about 63. And when you look at our constitution, you find that from 60, you're counted to be among the elder persons. Though SAGE looks at 80 and above, but if you're employed by government, retirement is 60. They say now you go, join others. So to the onset, I have two people that are very passionate about the elderly. One looks to be a youth, and the other has a resemblance of the elderly. I don't know if he's among the older persons, but has a resemblance, I must say that. Join me to welcome, that is Dewey Barrett, who happens to be the founder of, that is Leela Foundation, who are doing a tremendous work as far as welfare of the old persons. Dewey, you're most welcome.
Thank you, sir. And
then on the extreme end, I have a common figure, I must say. He's been around for some time in the spiritual realm, but also doing some work in this government, who happens to be Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesige, who is the Director of Ethics, in charge of Religious Affairs, Director for Ethics and Integrity, Office of the President. You're most welcome, Reverend Canon.
Thank you, moderator.
I must say it's a pleasure having you again on this very set. But I want to talk about elder persons. I'll begin with you. What category of people are we referring to? Yes.
Thank you so much, moderator, Mr. Chirabo, and viewers. I think personally, I am an example of an elder person. I'm 68 years old.
Oh, you don't only look.
People actually don't say their age. But I am a Christian, strong Christian and born again. But on top of that, I'm a senior citizen. I should not lie. Now, when you are 68 years old in Uganda, of course, retirement age, as far as civil service is concerned, is 60 years. Once you click 60 and you move onwards, you already have entered the elderly group or fraternity. And I think elders begin at that, because you retire from public service but not from active service, because there is retirement and not what that does not mean being expired. You are retired but not expired. In other words, you continue working. So this country has established a forum called the Elders Forum. Actually, at the moment, under the Inter-Religious Council of Uganda, it's chaired by the retired Justice Ogola, James Ogola. If you're not, you know him. He's the one who chairs the...
We always see them during elections. They want to have these public debates,
Now, but that's not enough. There are so many elders who are hidden and who are not known. Yet, as you know very much, the Ministry of Gender, Labor, and Social Development houses the elderly ministry. There is a ministry in charge of the elderly and disabilities. But most of the elders in Uganda, women, men, they are not known at all. They are just hidden in their cocoons. Some of them are helpless. Some of them are active, but even their active life is not known, or their contribution to society is not known because it's not exploited. Thank God that Justice Ogola is still being exploited even at his age. I am also being exploited because I still work for government and many others. Maybe our president is a special person because he has allowed the aged people, his counterparts, his contemporary, to continue being active in government. So, and of course, I know a lot of blame has been apportioned on him for allowing old people. But I think he wants to keep them moving, not only getting salary, but also active and providing guidance and hard situations. But you know, because elders are very wise people, the more you grow old, the more wiser you become if you're not aware. You hardly, people who are young are intelligent, very intelligent, but not necessarily wise. So as the wisdom comes from God, as far as some of us who are believers are concerned. But I think God favors more the elderly in terms of wisdom than the young ones. The young
I'll
ones,
let you stop at that.
okay.
I'll let you step at that. Now we have a clear picture of who the elder persons we are talking about. Now this brings me to Jui. You've been in Uganda for some time.
Yes, sir.
First, help us understand, when you talk about that is the Leela Foundation, what is this all about? What do you do?
So honestly, Leela Foundation, firstly I'd like to start, my name is Juhi Barut. We belong from the Tirupati family. My father came to Uganda in 1993 and he came with a vision to become something, to make something of himself. He had nothing when he came to this country, and this country ended up giving him so much. And today we are all blessed to be sitting here today only because of his hard work. So Leela Foundation was something we always wanted to do. We always did it in terms of the business aspect to give back to the community, but we wanted to make it official because it seemed to be a dream whereby I wanted to make a difference. That time it didn't start with the elderly. I just wanted to do something because it's very important to give back to the community, especially because my father has experienced coming from that specific aspect. So for us it was very important as the children to give back to the country that has given him so much, which is Uganda. We slowly started with looking after children, having birthday parties with them. Then in 2015, my father's father, my grandfather, was going to be completing 100 years. He passed away when my father was 18. And we decided to celebrate. So we decided, let's give out blankets to the elderly, because elderly give us warmth. And we said, okay, let's go home to home in Naguru. Naguru is one of the second largest slums in Uganda. So we went home to home and we gave blankets to different judges between the age of 80 to 100. And that's when we realized that there was a need, because as I walked home to home from one house to another, I realized that there were judges that were asking for basic sugar. I had come back from university being very ignorant, thinking life was perfect. Now as soon as we realized there was a need for sugar, I came back home and I discussed with my father. I'm like, Dad, we really need to get into this aspect of looking after the elderly because there is a huge gap. I thought people wanted blankets, but people actually wanted food. And we realized one thing, that they lacked love, they lacked compassion, they lacked that respect. You see, all these elders, sir, I'll be very honest with you, they don't want anything. They have nothing to take from you. All they want is the love, respect, and care that they have given us all their lives. So that's how this entire process began. And ever since then, we started with 20 people, and now we're looking after over 1,000 judges in Uganda. Just yesterday, we were in Bale with the Honorable Minister for Elderly Affairs, actually Bugisu region, and it was a very beautiful experience.
Now, Reverend Canon, how do you come into the picture? You're in charge of religious and ethics affairs, Office of the President. Where is the connection?
Thank you so much, moderator, Mr. Chirabo. First of all, if I may give you the background, in 2012, His Excellency the President appointed me as a Senior Presidential Advisor in charge of investment matters in State House. My work was to expeditiously protect investors against frustration. Actually, that was my mandate that was given to me by the president. He said, now that you are a priest, when I woo investors and bring them here, they end up in Kenya and in Uganda. I mean in Rwanda. We lose them. Why? Because of frustration by so many bodies here. In fact, he said, everyone in this country is corrupt. And therefore, they end up frustrating investors, commission solicitation, bribes, UIA, URI, and so on. So he said, I think for you being a priest, you are going to help me. And I think I tried my level best. It is during that time that I was able to meet the Tirupati group of companies managed by Mr. Harshad Barot and his son Miraj Barot, his daughter Juhi Barot, seated here with me, and granddaughter and daughter-in-law Kruti Barot. Now it's a unique family here in Uganda, and her mother is called Bunam Barot. They live in Naguru. So these people, I saw them not like other investors in this country, because I interacted with many from other countries and also from India. But the uniqueness they had was that Mr. Harshad had a passion for this country. He had the love for this country. He was actually a man who wanted even to fight corruption. He didn't want to see people who are being corrupt, because some investors are corrupt. You see, someone who gives bribes and one who takes it, they're all corrupt. So this is a man who was on the eye looking up, and he loved the country, he loved the president, and he praised him, of course, for working hard and for putting this country in order. But on top of that, he was a very hard-working man. So in 2016, I had to invite His Excellency, the President, to officially open his business park in Chebando, where he has about 150 SMEs. These are people who have been given, you build houses, you give them on condominium basis, and these people are making tremendous. So they are employing other people, other Ugandans. 150 SMEs are not very easy, by the way. You will find that the employment is so high. The people they employ, and most of them are Ugandans actually, and they are manufacturing, of course, on small scale SMEs. And I think that is what the country wants to adopt. So with that passion, not making money like other investors, squeezing out money, taking it outside in their own country, I saw that in these people, and I developed a love in them, because I said, these are people to live with. First of all, they never bribed me at all. They never gave me any money. She's here, she's my witness. People working with investors get a lot of money from investors. I've never got any money from them.
That is a good revelation.
Yes,
to me.
I've never got any money from them at all. In fact, I ended up even praising them. And when I left that office to ethics, they almost cried, because I was protecting them.
So that is the relationship.
So the relationship.
That's how you
and now with the Leela Foundation, I actually, when Jui had that dream and shared with me and the dad, they put me on the team. So I'm one of the directors. I am an advisor. When she's distributing food and other things, I am with them. I comfort, I counsel, I give a word and encouragement to the elders. We were together in Naguru, we were together in Jinja one time. We went to Jinja and slept there. You can't believe it that these people had to bring the elders here in Kampala, women and men, 90 years, 80 years, gave them buses, took them to Jinja at the source of the Nile. Some of them have never gone there. And they slept there. They made them sleep in hotels like Nile Resort. Can you imagine? People who have no houses, people who have no blankets, people who have nothing to eat at their homes. So, and these are not Indians. These are Ugandans, yet these people who started this. So you can see, I joined that group because they are non-profit making, but here as philanthropists and people who want to support the elderly. Now I learned something from Leela Foundation, that being an elder person, is not being someone who is unable to do something. And through their effort in feeding them and clothing them, these people have become vibrant. Some of them actually were sick when they started giving them food. But now, some of them are vibrant. If you see some of the pictures when they are distributing food, the old women and men they look so nice, and yet they were in Karamoja. Some of them were helpless, if you know, and they had to give them food and clothes. So what I'm saying is that being philanthropists and being people who like to promote humanity, and being a religious person, me and an elder, I thought it was that this is the right group to join.
Okay. Well, now getting to know more about that is Leela Foundation, and of course we are discussing importance and need of elderly care services in Uganda. Now, Joey, help us also when we talk about the elder persons. As life continues to change, generations after generations, one would ask, why should this be a priority? Or why, among all groups you looked at, we have children who are the future of this generation. Many are loitering on our streets. Many lack what to eat. Nekaramoja, we saw a number die of hunger. Why did you come up to target? What is the importance of really prioritizing elder persons? One would say they have had their time. They are retiring.
They should now die. They should be left to
No, I'm not condemning them to die. But I'm saying they have lived their life. You know, one time I was speaking to this missionary. I come from a strong religious background. And he told me, he was later, when he left Uganda and went back, I continued on internet, and he told me, well, I'm here, I've spent so much in a child home, elderly home, but my children for many years have never come here. So I said, maybe I can talk to these children. And this is what I got from one of the sons. He said, Robert, we pay taxes. The government put these homes for these elder persons. My dad had his time to enjoy. I'm not going to sacrifice my moment to enjoy my life because of dad. I talked to that, I said, he had his time. The likes of Reverend Akanon here, they had their time. They worked either in government, wherever they were, they made their monies. No, so someone feels, now, why should they be, if they can be there? So why did you choose this group?
So honestly, firstly, that person used the word sacrifices. If it wasn't for the sacrifices of our parents and our elderly persons, let it be any older person, today we wouldn't be sitting here. Today I know the blood and sweat that my father has put in to my comfort of my life. So when it comes to me giving back to him at the age where he needs me the most, or where my parents need me the most, that makes me the most selfish human in the world. Today, if we don't look after the people that have loved us, that have done so much for us, not only our parents, but everyone, even in the country. Today there are people, like let's say you will grow old one day, you've done so much. Today Uncle Aaron has done so much. I cannot leave him at the point where he will need me the most, where he's the most vulnerable. When his feet were working, he didn't need me. Like look at my grandmother, for example. She's right now not doing very well currently. But when she was walking, and she didn't need anyone, she just wanted love and respect. So now when it's my time, or when it's my father's time to look after her, he cannot say you've had your time. We are all equals. It's just that age is something that God has put into our lives where it's inevitable. We will all grow old. But that doesn't mean that you don't give them that importance. Everyone is equal and equally responsible and equally obligated to looking after one another, Today, there are people who've really, like all these judges that you see, yes, they're abandoned, but they are people with dignity. Like the judges we go to are not judges you see on the streets. You hardly see a judge on the street. Why? Because they're with dignity. They're dignified. They've done so much for our country. They've done so much for their homes. So we don't go to them with the concept of, oh, you need something. We go to them with the concept of, it is my duty to look after you because you deserve to be looked after. And that is the happiness that makes them who they are today. So I don't think anyone or anything should ever think that because they're old, you should leave them aside. You should not. In fact, you should look after them even more, because we wouldn't be here today if they didn't do what they did yesterday.
Okay, I saw Reverend Aaron wanted to chip in here. Why should we have a national budget and then we have a budget for you? Why should we invest so much in SEG? Why should you be a priority?
As I said at the beginning, when you are an old person, you are a wise person. Elderly or being old means purity, means wisdom, I want to tell you. Because you no longer go fishing here and there for things of the world. You settle down. God has given you many things. You have passed through so many trials and so many temptations, and now you are settled. You are an old man, you are an old woman, you settle down. Now, this is the time when you should give back as well. You see, how do you give back? You guide the nation. You guide the children, you guide the families, you guide the church leaders. Actually, there is a saying in our tradition, in my tradition, in my culture, which says that a home that lacks an elder, a home that lacks an elder, anyone comes, any witch doctor or any healer comes and does anything he or she wants to do. In other words, it is liable to be destroyed or to be given anything, because there is nobody who can detect that something that is dangerous, a calamity may befall. You see, elders are able to, they have eyes that see. Now there's a saying that says that eyes that see are rare, and those that look are common. So there are many people who have eyes that look. There are many, those who have eyes that look. But those who have eyes that see far, you are able to detect calamity that may befall upon a family, that may befall upon a nation. Those are elders. And that is why they are very, very, very important. Some of these sayings that we always say, we quote, they're actually made by elders, not young people. You know, when you talk of the many sayings of Winston Churchill, so what I'm saying is that you sit down, you reason with God more when you are an elder. Secondly, you have less sleep. You know, when you are an elder, you don't sleep a lot. You actually sleep less, and most of the time you are thinking loud and you are talking to God with your heart. You are not in the bar enjoying and dancing. Those were all those days. Someone who so your mind settles down to think loud for the family, for the nation, so that you can devise means of how you can protect calamity against families, against your nation.
So that explains the relevance.
Elders are very relevant, only that societies don't know. And I want to salute Leela Foundation. This young lady, very young as she is, with having that passion. I think her work is the beginning of the beginning for us to understand. Because you can see now, she has just started in few regions, Mbale, Karamoja, here Kampala. She needs to go to your region. She has not gone there. She needs to go to my region. She hasn't gone there. And there are so many elders who are helpless, who are now once supported, then that wisdom will flow. And you never know, they would even help these young people against homosexuality, against alcoholism, against drug abuse, because they know which is destructive and which is not destructive for society.
Of course, they have lived, they have seen it all, and of course they have tasted either the bitter pill or the sweet pill of that. So yes, indeed, old age comes with knowledge and wisdom. There could be a few surprises, but generally that is the fact of it. Now, coming back to you, Jury, where are you working and how? What is your method of bringing assistance to the elders that we are discussing today, the older persons in this country?
So, sir, Our offices are in Chebando at Tirupati Business Park. We use our warehouses. We rent warehouses from the company, and we basically, what happens is that we started with Kampala, to be honest. We started from areas of Naguru, Chebando, Chikulu, Luzira, Luthuli. But one entire team I would really like to thank is that, of course, our vision was always there. But there are people that make the vision happen, which are the teams of the LC chairpersons, LC1, LC2, LC3. These are people that I have so much respect for as a foundation, or we all have respect for, because they really work hard. They are in the grassroots. They are the ones that help us identify the judges or the older persons in the area. Because we only go to judges that are vulnerable. We don't go to judges that are well off or that have something to eat. We usually identify the ones that can't walk, that can't move, that don't have any source of food. That are sick. And so yeah, these LC chair people, the LC chairpersons help us. They come together. We have a whole team. Even when we went to Karamoja, it was the missionary church that helped us in terms of identifying the people. When we went to Mbale,
who is vulnerable.
Yes. We had actually gone to Karamoja. We went 3 areas of Moroto, Karenga, Nabila Tuk. We went with the Director of Public Prosecutions, Her Lordship, Madame Jane Francis Abodo.
And the Minister
we went
of
with the
Ethics.
Honorable Minister for Ethics and Integrity, Honorable Rose Lily Okello. So we went 3 different areas. And the LC chair people, the LC chairpersons are the ones that identified them for us. So if it wasn't for their hard work and assistance, we wouldn't be able to achieve our mission. So we're really thankful to them, and we're thankful to the government of Uganda for identifying such strong people that have a strong heart for the people around the region.
Very interesting there, knowing that you use a system. It's not all about that. I was about to tell you that I have an older person in my area that really needs immediate.
May I have in my family?
You have in your family?
Yes.
Well, for me, just my neighbor, but good, there's a systematic way of doing things. Now, when you talk about elder persons, Reverend Cannon, for Uganda's case, I know government has had quite a number of initiatives to help them. They get like a 20-something at the end of the month. Though it's still wanting, it's just a drop in the ocean. But if you're to look at an elder person in Uganda, what do you think, or how best should they be helped? Because when I look at a number of them, it's not only them, but even when you go to some remote areas, they have a line of grandchildren. And sometimes that bothers me, you know. This person already from raising you, now you're adding on another. And sometimes the parents are in Kampala, losing, moving around. It worsens the situation. What should be done?
Thank you so much. I think now, first of all, I want to thank government for putting in place a ministry responsible for the elderly. But I think that is not enough. We need to go an extra mile. You know, having a ministry is like having a law. Like now this bill that is coming back for anti-homosexuality, you know, it was already enacted into law and it was nullified by the
courts.
The courts, and now we are bringing it back as a bill. Of course, with some amendments and adding some stringent measures in them. But that's a good thing, as much as it is necessary, but it is not adequate or sufficient. It needs a lot of backup, it needs a lot of enforcement. Likewise, with the Ministry of Elderly, as far as government is concerned, having it in place is not enough. I think we need to craft carefully some policies to support, and kind of the policy translates into work plan and planned activities, what government should do. First of all, identifying the stakeholders. If you do a stakeholders analysis in as far as dealing with the elderly is concerned, so that what are the expectations of the elderly for government, look at also what government expects from them, because it's not it should be a two-way traffic, because it's a give and take. you have to expect them. So the elders expect something from government as well. So in that kind of symbiotic arrangement or relationship, I think if government would put that measure or that policy in place, and then look at elders as people who are of value to help, they would actually increase the budget, leave alone the little money they give them, but put a budget in place. Let the elders have summits, you know, like a family summit, and reason together. And for instance, put guidelines in place of how they can protect the young people against these monsters like homosexuality. Yes, it's very, very true. But also how they can reason together and put their heads to provide solutions against corruption. Because as I told you, these elders, as you said, have seen it all. They know how things have been moving in the past, and therefore they are people who can carefully craft the position. So in other words, elders, government should put in place policies and laws that should be implemented in a way that you design a package where the elders are engaged. You engage, government engages the elders in such and such. We expect them to do ABC. But also, you also ask them to give you feedback on what are their expectations of government, so that they can be able to move along, so that they can not only survive, but being able to deliver according to their expectations, but also according to the expectations of government. So I think they are not utilized as much as there is a ministry in place, but they are underutilized. They are just looked at as people who have no space in the equation of delivery. But I think they have a lot of today. In other words, being an older person is not being unable to perform. So elder doesn't mean inability. In other words, they are still people, men and women of substance,
who can contribute greatly to national building.
But government needs to exploit that substance in them.
Well, I'll be going for a very short break. When I return, we are still going to be discussing more regarding elderly care in this country, and of course what is being done by the Leela Foundation, with the founder, with me in studios, who happens to be Juhi Barot, and of course not leaving behind Reverend Canon, that is Aaron, who also is doing some work with the Leela Foundation. I return shortly.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
International Women's Day is a global holiday celebrated annually on 8th March as a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, violence and abuse against women. Uganda will join the rest of the world to celebrate Women's Day in Jurubura district under the theme Equal Opportunities in Education, Science, Technology for Innovation and a Gender Equal Future. UBC will bring you the celebrations as they unfold live on Wednesday, 8th March, 2023.
It's true what people say, that when I wash and you wash your hands with soap, we'll have less infections as Ugandans. After all, it's hands that handle money. It's hands that feed us. Hands that prepare soil for farming. Hands that we use to learn. And hands that we use for fun.
When I wash and you wash hands with soap, it means clean hands for all. This is a message from the National Hand Washing Secretariat.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that short break. Well, we can't forget to remind you that we are in March and Wednesday is International Women's Day. And of course, Uganda will be part of that. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyiton, in case you've just joined. And we are discussing elderly care in Uganda with more emphasis with one of the foundations that is doing great work in ensuring that they improve the welfare. They share love. They give back to Ugandans when it comes to the elder persons. God willing, and us living responsible, we shall get to that level. With God's grace and us living responsible lives. Because most of the times I tell my comrades, friends, the youth, that my friend, certain things you can lead yourself in destruction or be there to tell a life. When we see men of our generation now in drug abuse, others being enrolled into homosexuality, then your dream of being an elder person is nullified. But if you're living responsibly with prayer and trust in the Almighty, you will be the likes of one of the guests I have on my panel, who is 68, but he looks much younger than that. I must say, he looks much younger than that. Now, this brings me back to Huey here. When we talk about these elder persons, you said it's all about showing love.
Yes.
It's all about showing care. But if you are to look at what is being done on behalf of government, Reverend was trying to point out some of these. Where is the missing in your own assessment? Where do you see that, well, if this is done, it could be more vital? Because I don't think elder persons need employment, much as they may need some financial assistance. But what is that is vital that you think we must prioritize?
So honestly, in terms of older persons, I think, before in the questions you were asking, it is about our mindset that is not bringing enough opportunities for them. Us as the youth, we think, oh, now their job is done. Let's focus on the young. Let's focus on the women. Let's focus on children. But it's actually
these are the more vulnerable people.
Yes, because it starts with our own mindset. Today, if not only the government, but if different NGOs come forward and they start realizing, today, if you didn't know, the population of the older persons in Uganda is 1.3 million people, right? If we, as the ordinary people, as the citizens of the country, don't come and wake up one morning and start to realize that elder people are to be looked at, are to be pointed out as vital people in the society, in the different industries, we will never be able to understand what the actual need is, right? Today the need is very small. It's basic recognition, being recognized, being involved in our daily activities, and then you can understand what is actually in demand for a country, right? So firstly, we all need to come together and realize that there are older people. There are people that are wise, full of knowledge, full of respect, full of love. Let us first come together and start to give them the respect that they deserve. And then as a country, as NGOs like us, we come forward and we realize, we come forward and we realize that yes, we can involve them in specific aspects. There are still judges that are very fit to work, and fit to work in even industries. Like today we have the government where people are working at this age. And you won't believe they're the smartest people that I've ever seen in my life. Today, if it wasn't for their knowledge and their experiences, we wouldn't, as the youth, be learning so much. So, yeah, that's what I think.
I love the fact that they, in your explanation, they seem not to be wanting so much. What they want is little, and what they want is we can do if we change our mindset.
Yes.
Speaking about that. Now, this brings me to their representative on this show, this lovely morning, Monday morning. Older persons in this country have been represented. In the 11th Parliament, it was the first in Uganda for them to have a person representing them. LC, that is chairman, the lowest administrative level that government of Uganda put in place, the LC leadership. The Secretary for Elder Persons is not competent unless there is that representation. There's the Elders Forum, the Elders Council. So much has been done. Have these yielded value to improving on the welfare of the elder persons? Or are we just seeing mere occupancy of positions?
That's a good point you're asking, moderator. And I think this goes back to what I first explained. I think it is one thing to put a position in place or a ministry or an office, and it is another thing for that office to deliver. Because if you don't empower that office, if you don't empower it, I think the LC one you have talked, the parliament representation, I think what is lacking for the elderly to be known, because I think the importance of the elderly in society in this country is skewed. It's not known. It's not seen on ground. It is only known by families. At individual level, you sit with an elder, you see the wisdom that comes from him or her, the value. Like now, Juhi borrowed this young lady who is even an Indian, and actually who trained in India. She's very surprising when we have people who have trained in Uganda, but she trained, her brother trained in Uganda, but for her she trained in India. Now, I think it's only when she developed that passion now that she has been able to understand the importance of the elderly in this country. Now, what you're asking is very fundamental. Is it just a matter of putting positions in place? Yes and no. I think we need to go an extra mile as government, identify money, actually funds, to be honest. You see, and support these offices and support these bodies. If you have an office, if you have the on LC1, the representative, what does he do? Does he mobilize the elders in that village, in that cell? And then after mobilization, they sit in baraza and discuss, and then they provide solutions towards mindset change as far as the young generation is concerned, because the young generation requires mindset change. But you find that these elders are not utilized because they are not empowered, they are not facilitated. So to me, I call upon government. I first thank government for putting structures in place, but these structures need to be supported, they need to be empowered. By the way, even Leela Foundation need to be supported by government. You may find that you have not even asked the question how they support. These are just, it is just well-wishers and friends, philanthropists who actually give money and also our own proceeds from her businesses to support the elderly. So it's just a passion that you develop. It's not that she gets money from World Bank or from IMF or what. So I think if she has been able to start as an individual, as a young lady, and she has been able to deliver in terms of materials, food, and making people happy. What about government, which has structures in place? I think those structures should be utilized to support the elderly and to exploit them. I think that's the right way. We need to exploit their potential. They have a potential that lies asleep.
Okay, a potential that lies asleep. This brings me back to Julie now. You've talked about extending a hand. But one of the things that I've come to understand is aid is good. Relief is good. It can extend someone's life span. But the biggest problem is you've given me fish, yet you've not taught me how to fish. Much as one would say these are elder people, they're less productive in terms of energy, the bodies cannot. How do we ensure continuity? Because I know those that you gave blankets after some time may still want blankets. This may be out. If you give these ones sugar today, after, you may not take them for a whole year. And frankly speaking, you may not be able to do that regularly. So What steps have you put in place that even when Leela Foundation does not come to your aid this month because it did maybe 3 months back, or in case of an eventuality, at least there isn't now a drop back? Because disappointment or failure to cope up, you know, when you find someone in a situation, I don't want to use the word helpless, but I'm not using it in a way of abusing.
Yes.
But then they have taken years not having blankets, they don't have the sugar. Now you've improved their lifestyle. Then maybe uncertainty comes in and they can't cope with that life. For our brothers, our fathers here, that can cause death.
Yeah.
I've seen some in key positions when they lose that. That is the definition for their death.
Correct.
So continuity, how do we empower? Or what are you doing to empower either communities or create that
so that they can be
sustainability and
sustainable.
continuity? Yes.
So that they can be sustainable.
Yeah. Like you said, don't give someone fish, teach them how to fish, right? His Excellency, the President, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, he always uses that as a point of reference. But that he means for the youth. You understand? Like today, you should not give, I believe that you should not give a child money or a young person money, because they should learn how to work. Like that's how our father has trained us in our family. Don't just go, don't ask, but work. But these are the people who have taught you how to fish, and now you have the fish, so give it back to them. You understand? Today you cannot just expect a judger who's 80, 85 to start working at this age. They've already worked. They've done their part. But now we can still not
Or
expect...
they fail to work.
They fail to work.
That is also...
It is a different... It's different from home to home, right? Like not every youth is working.
Yeah.
There are lots of people who are not working. But that doesn't mean that the people who are working should be blamed for it, right? The same with the judges. We do want to... We started small because you cannot start with a big vision of empowering people without knowing who they are. Today, if you don't meet me in person, you won't realize what I actually need from you. You understand? So that's the same with our elders. Of course, we want to make a system for them where they are self-made, they're self-independent. Probably you do the knitting of the baskets, you do tailoring. People are they're extremely talented. But before going there, I need to first enter their house and show them that you can trust me. And that's what Leela Foundation has been doing. We created a very special bond with our judges in order for them to trust me and say, this girl is not here to cheat me. Of course you cannot be consistent. It is not possible to be consistent in this line of work. Today you have money, tomorrow you don't, right? But as long as you know from the bottom of your heart as a foundation that we have tried our best to make these people happy. Even they know that this girl Juhi might come today, might not come tomorrow. But one thing is for sure, is that they know that whenever they need me, they know where to find me. You understand? Today, we cannot look after people every day. Today, money will come, money will go. Like, look at the hike in the food prices. We had to cut down on specific things because the times were tough. And judges understand that. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. Judges have no expectations from you. Yes, they want to be involved. They want to be a part and parcel of society, but not at the cost of, oh, you need to support me every day. They're not selfish that way. They're dignified. Like I keep saying, you don't need to go to them every month, but yes, them knowing that they have someone to fall back on is the most important thing according to me.
Well, I love that, them knowing and saying there's someone we can fall back to. But when I look at my clock, time is flying so fast. Reverend, let me have your final remark.
Thank you so much, moderator, and UBC production and listeners. First of all, I would like to say that, as I said, I would like to state and to affirm that I think as a country we need to be awakened by Leela Foundation. I think Leela Foundation has given us, as its name implies, a foundation as a country where to start, of how to be able to look after the elderly and to use them meaningfully in society. When you talk of the population of this country, 40 million plus, and their part, I think everyone should have value, should be utilized like in other countries. I think why African countries are backward, it's because few people are working, are utilized. And even those who are working, they actually end up taking the loot, taking the biggest share, and the rest remain helpless. Now, that's why you find a country like India, where she comes from, its population is is 1.6 billion, if you are not aware, more than the population of Africa. Africa's population is 1.2 billion, and yet it's a continent, and India has one. But you see, if you go to India, everyone is working, young, old, everyone is working. There's nothing to say that someone is not utilized. So I think we need to do a strategic plan as a country. That's what I want to say. As Julia has said, we need first to understand the elders. Who are they? What is their background? And some of them actually, they have different backgrounds, and that gives you a way of how you can be able to utilize and deal with them. But then you put in place measures of where you want to take them and how you can reach there, and then you ask a question: have we arrived as a country? And that will be determined by the performance indicators. You see your performance in terms of dealing with the elders. I think that is a kind of a strategic plan that we need to put in place, asking us sit down and ask questions how we can utilize the elders. Justice Ogola, I had an opportunity of meeting him, and he was actually telling me the same, that yes, a forum is in place, they are doing a good job, they are writing, they are trying to assist, but I think they are not facilitated, and government and some of the people see them as these people who are expired, and they have been working, as you rightly said at the beginning, they have been working, they did their work now. So I think as much as they worked, with that experience they have, we need still to utilize them. That is why God leaves them to live longer. You see, Job died at the age of 140. Abraham died. And you know, these are people who did great work amongst the Jews. Well, those who stayed longer made a lot of impact to society.
Those who stayed longer made a lot of impact, and of course those that are staying longer, we hope they continue to make a lot of impact. Julie, your concluding remark or parting shot?
I would just like to say that you had asked earlier, do we wish to do more? 100% we wish to do more. With the support of, let's say, anyone watching this that thinks we are eligible to be partnered with, let it be the government of Uganda, let it be private people that are seeing this. It doesn't matter which stakeholder comes forward. As long as we all come forward together as one family and understand that our elders really need us, and we can make a huge difference in society, right? And probably by then we will be able to create systems and create institutions that will empower them, so that, like you said earlier, yes, these judges that you see at home, they don't look after even their own children. They look after their orphans. Orphans they don't know. There are 8 children living in their houses, and believe me, those people, our judges, don't even eat the food that we give them. That food that goes directly to the children.
Exactly.
So we do pray
they can't eat before the children.
They can't. You know, they're looking after people selflessly. So now it's time for us as the youth to become selfless, to come forward, make a small difference in society. Because if we all make a small difference as people, that leads to a huge difference. So thank you so much, sir. We're so grateful, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. That is Julie Barot, who happens to be the founder of Leela Foundation, that looks after elderly in this country by extending a hand of love and care. And of course, Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesige, who is the Director of Ethics in charge of Religious Affairs, Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, Office of the President. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm well sure that, of course, this has touched you to improve the life. They worked, they toiled for us. It is our time now to look after them, make life different, and they don't need so much. Even just a visit and spending quality time with them. I know in the US you find that many of these, in their homes, all they yearn for is someone to talk to them, someone to share stories, someone to comfort them, someone to bring love and meaning of life to them. But there's something very important that Reverend Canon talked about: government to tap into these resources. The many of these are still able to do so much. They may not have them in formal employment, but utilize their experience that they have, so that they don't go with all this to the grave. Not saying that they are going there, but we all know that is our final destination.
Yes.
And when someone says the richest place on earth is the grave, we must ensure that people go there when we've exhausted all we need from them. Have a lovely day. God bless you.
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
Get away with MTN Momo Advance. Momo Advance tops up your Momo to complete your transactions. Dial star 165 star 5 star 3 hash to apply. MTN Momo Advance is always available when you need it.
International Women's Day is a global holiday celebrated annually on 8th March as a focal point in the women's rights movement, bringing attention to issues such as gender equality, reproductive rights, violence and abuse against women. Uganda will join the rest of the world to celebrate Women's Day in Juruhura district.